Well, hello there, my dear church boys, and welcome back to yet another episode of Saint Robert's Daygame podcast. And this podcast episode, me and Mr. T, we decided to record outside, and this is gonna be sort of like a AMA, Ask Me Anything type of podcast. But more specifically, we're gonna talk about BDSM, sex toys, and introducing all of that in your communication with the girls you are seeing. And we have a few guys asking questions already in a chat, so we're gonna be discussing those. Uh, before we get into this topic, as always, a few updates about what's happening, where I am, where I'm going next, coaching spots, etc. I am here with Mr. T in Budapest, Hungary, with a few other friends. I'm coaching a few students here. It's plus 37 degrees. How much is
Freaking,
that in Fahrenheit?
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's
80 maybe. I don't know.
it's like
It's a
crazy.
bunch.
We were just dying from how hot it is. By the way, we arrived in Airbnb. That's one of my top three worst Airbnb experiences after living in Airbnbs for around 3 years now, a bit less. I am next going to Riga to coach one student, then Stockholm, Sweden. I have one student there, and then end of August I will either go to Poland or come back to Budapest, and that's the moment where I have one coaching spot left in July, either in Poland or in here in Budapest. And then August I'll be spending most of it in Riga coaching a few guys from New Zealand, and after that I'm going to a lovely place very close to Europe where there are a bunch of Russians who have emigrated from Russia after the war started. So I'm gonna go there just because there is, in my book, there's nothing easier than a solo Russian traveler. So I'm gonna go and explore that place with a few students. I have one student who has already signed up, another guy is interested. I'll take three students total there. I'll be there for a month, uh, and we will be spreading all those coaching sessions out throughout the month, hanging out together, enjoying the city. Oh, and yeah, it's Georgia. If you didn't get it yet, then that country is Georgia. I don't know the city yet. Maybe it's Tbilisi, maybe Batumi, maybe both of them. We'll see. So that's with the coaching spots. After that, after Georgia, I will be leaving Europe, and in October, I'll probably be in New York City and other places in the US. November, December will be Latin America, more specifically, most likely Argentina, probably a little bit of Mexico, and then it's already New Year's, so who the fuck knows what's gonna happen next. If you heard any of the spot, any if you heard a spot where you would want to work with me, where you would want to learn day game, because you know you really like girls in that place, then well, as always, the link to sign up to find out everything is in the description. Fill the form there, and I'll get back to you with all the details. All of this intro being done. Yeah, by the way, one more thing in the intro. Soon I will publish a blog about Budapest and how good or bad is it for day game, because I'm coaching students here, and we're kind of figuring out what the things are actually like here, because there are reasons why it's amazing, because it's a very beautiful city with incredibly hot girls, but there are some bad things. Mostly it's very overgamed, especially if you are in the main day game area. So we're exploring other parts of the city, but all of that will be in the vlog. And now let's get down to the MAA,
M A M A M
MAA.
A
I'm
A M A
let's get down to Ask Me Anything, and we're gonna start with Mr. T's
questions.
questions, and let's go, Mr. T.
Yeah, cool. So these are questions that I have. Some of them I've asked Robert in passing, but he says that save them for AMA, and so here we are. Um, we're just gonna go hard from the beginning. And so here's the first one. Um, so,
Yeah. Let's go.
all right. So, Robert, we know you have a case full of toys. I've seen them all. You travel with them
A
everywhere you
few of
go.
them. A few of them.
Most notably, your ball gag, your ropes, and your nice fancy glass dildos. The
Yes.
question is, how do you travel to new city? How do you bring up? How do you kind of work through the scene to introduce the ball, to introduce these toys, especially things like the ball gag?
Yeah, because you asked me specifically for the ball gag. Let's first talk about the toys in general, because other toys are way easier, of course. The easiest thing to introduce is ropes, which I do all the time. In most cities I go to, I have ropes. For example, when I lived in Argentina last winter, I bought really good ropes in Mexico City, and I was just traveling with them. These are actually the same ropes I am traveling with right now. So let's talk about how I introduce ropes in this in on the dates, because actually a little secret that my closest day game friends know, that for most of my dates lately I've been pulling, and my pull has been let's go, I'm gonna tie you up.
Yep, that's true.
And
And I'll shoot it.
that is day game dates. So, and I've done this quite a few times. So how do I do that? Okay, if you look at my Instagram profile, and if you don't know it, then ask in a group chat or message me somewhere. I'll send it to you. Then I have a few pictures, a few bondage pictures. And at some point on a date, I'll ask, hey, by the way, like, show me your Instagram. Are you on Instagram? And I'll check her Instagram, and she'll show me some her profile, and I'll see a photo in like swimming suit. I'll zoom in on her tits, and it's like, pretty nice, or like not bad. But like I'm gonna make fun of her Instagram, and then usually she's gonna show me my Instagram, and there that's where she's gonna see that, okay, what is that? Um, but also I do sometimes mention, like, when we're talking about life, I mentioned some things I've done in the past, and once I gave a seminar about introduction to BDSM, like the basics of the basics, in the biggest sex shop in Latvia, Sexy Style.
Lodge.
No, sex shop. The Sexy Style sex shop. And it's just I slip it in the conversation. It's like, oh yeah, like, like, because I do ropes, and like I like tying people up, and it's just this kind of way to get to build kind of contact with people and to get to know each other physically, because it's such a bonding experience. Blah 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 blah. Then she will see some pictures if she hasn't seen them yet, and then so I will kind of somehow slip in this topic, either by talking about the seminar, or by showing pictures, or I don't know. Like sometimes, back when I was living in Riga, in the apartment, I just had ropes hanging above the sofa in my living room. Just I hung them on like a wall lamp, and they were there, and the chicks saw them, and that's it. Um and we will usually talk like, hey, have you ever tried anything like that? Do you have experience with that? And then, oh, like, also like, and but you can see that most of them would be interested. And then at one moment, kind of when we have a lot of connection, this would usually require at least two venues, maybe three venues. I would just say, listen, this doesn't really mean that anything else has to happen, but I want to tie you up. Let's go. Like, I'll tie you up a little bit. Well, let's see how we feel about it. And if you like, and again, it doesn't mean anything else has to happen. Let's go. And boom, and like mostly they'd say, yeah, let's go, whatever, because they know what's happening. But you have to understand that if you look at this face, then I am this tattooed, shaved head, bearded guy with a nose ring from Eastern Europe. So I do have a persona, and this persona makes it much easier for me to bring this up, because again, your persona and the way you look does kind of filter out different types of girls. So if you look like a real nice guy, she might be a bit more surprised. But if you look like a nice guy, but still have a bit of edge that you've added using your style, then I think that's still very doable. um, yeah, so that's about ropes. Ball gags. Well, actually, the second thing I usually bring up are toys like vibrators. I have so in US, you guys, listeners from US, you guys have Hitachi Magic Wand. I assume you know what that is. Just search Magic Wand if you don't know what it is. Just
I
make
use
sure.
that after the gym to like
Yes, to
fix my
release
sore
muscle
muscles.
tension.
That's what I
Exactly.
use
That's
it
not
for.
Theragun. No, that's a different thing. No, don't do that. Don't use that on chicks. That's a bit too intense. Um, but in Europe, we actually have a better thing. It's called Doxy. Doxy massager, whatever, however you pronounce that word. So, and yeah, Doxy massager is better because it has softer head, and instead of just low or high like modes, it has like, I don't know, 10 or however many different settings. But if you're in US, Lelo brand, I think, makes pretty good massagers as well. They are pretty pricey, and those things will be pretty pricey as well. But I think those Lelo ones are like 200 bucks at least. And you don't want to get some cheap knockoff thing. If you get this thing, get a good one. And again, we're like, if you are during your bonding experience, maybe starting to do things like choking or being a bit more rough, then kind of, oh, like you can just bring up, oh, like have you do you do toys? Have you do like what have you tried from toys? Nothing. Oh, have you tried magic? Do you know what it is? It's like, oh, wait a second, and I would pull it out of the closet. Have you seen it? Do you know what it is? It's like, oh fuck yeah, but I've never tried this. It's like, oh, you want to try? It's like, oh, yeah, and and yeah, I would just kind of plug it in, put a condom on it, and use it. By the way, with these toys, they are silicone or whatever the material is. You have to use condoms with them. You have to make sure they're clean because you can't use them like because the thing, as far as I know, why I like glass dildos, because as far as I know,
They don't react with anything else.
glass dildos, it's very easy to clean them. Like the worst case scenario, like you need some specific sex toy cleaner, but like if you read in line, some people say you can just wash them with water and soap. It's the same with metal. Just make sure it kind of dries, especially if you keep it in the sun, or because sun kills everything if you keep it in the sun for long enough.
And I think if I remember right, also use water-based lubricant if you're using silicone anything and silicone toys.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Use water-based lubes in general. I don't use silicone-based lubes. Um, so the easiest thing to bring up is ropes, and then there's this. Also have a very nice toy that's Whisper Crave, which is like a necklace on a chain, but it's like a little like a kind of like a pencil type of vibrator. Pretty impressive thing if you learn how to use it and find the right spot to use it at. That thing is pretty incredible. You can travel with it easily. Doesn't take any space because like Doxy or those little massagers, all of those, they take a lot of space. And I had this funny case in Kharkiv, Ukraine, when I was flying from Kharkiv to Estonia, and they're like scanning my backpack, and I have like a glass dildo and a glass butt plug in it. And this dude scanning it looks at a chick near him, like also working there. Is like, hey,
Security
look at this. Like, do you also have things like that at your home? And that was
in Russian.
in Russian, yeah, and I speak Russian, so um, so yeah, that was of course hilarious. But that Vesper Crave thing is incredibly small. Okay, so you brought up ropes or you brought up this. How do you get to ball gags? At this point, you're probably gonna talk with her after, like, this is once you've done some of this shit, it's super easy to kind of bring the conversation to, okay, so what have you tried? What are you interested in? Like this is typical after sex conversation, especially after if you've been with her maybe twice. Uh, and yeah, at that moment you can kind of just talk about it openly, and you could just ask, "Have you tried ball gags?" And that's it. It's like you want to try it, and boom, like that's it. So that's one thing that's super easy. And then just next time you pull it out and just do it. But it has to be pretty rough. Like if you're just being gentle and nice and then pull about the ball gag, that doesn't really like
Cognates. It
has to
doesn't
be like a lot of
match.
like a bit of like hair pulling and spanking, and then you put in a ball gag and just go hard. Um, okay, what else? And
Uh,
another way to do it is the checklist, the BDSM submissive checklist. You can Google those. You can Google BDSM submissive checklist, and you'll find kind of how they look. It's basically like a checklist that you would go over with the girl you are playing with, and there would be a bunch of actions like so and two like so let's say whatever like anal, and like, have you tried it, yes or no, how interested are you in that from like 0 to 5, or you'll see on a checklist if you Google it, or I sometimes simply, let's say I slept with a girl once or twice, and then I meet her, and while we're drinking wine, I would go over the checklist, and it's like, okay, like let's
let's.
when you're having a conversation of what you like, I said, wait, actually, I have a special checklist for this, so we can go over everything, and a lot of chicks they will not even know some of the names of those things, and uh, so you can do that as well to bring up all of those things, and then just once you've talked about it, once she said yeah she's interested, boom, go and try them, and that's it. Okay, does this answer your question, Mr. T?
Yes. What about the what they call the gimp thing? What's the thing where you
I
just
don't know
go
what that is.
full mask thing? You know that leather mask.
Yeah, I have a mask
I
like
know you
that.
have that.
I have I
So
have a I have a lovely video that I made recently with a girl having that mask while she is being having some troubles breathing, let's put it like that, because something's in her throat. Allergies. She had allergies. Dick allergies. So what about that?
That's a lot more restrictive. Is it just the same routine?
I mean, everything is the same routine.
Right.
You can bring anything. When you are going through the checklist, you can bring literally anything. You can bring up toys, ball gags. You can bring up like I don't know, like golden showers if you're into that type of stuff, or
Water
like
sports.
pegging, or like for literally whatever you like. You can because I used to have some things in that list that were I wasn't into, so I would just say to the chick, by the way, just so you know, like some of those things I'm not even into them, but I just left them in just to kind of get to know you,
Yeah,
and boom, and that's a way how you can put very kinky stuff in there,
yeah.
and she's not gonna think, oh, this guy is completely stupid, like what the fuck is this guy saying, like he wants me to, I don't know, like peg him or whatever, like she's like, oh, you just said this, oh, I left a lot some stuff in there that I'm not really into, but
The
so.
irony if she says that, pegging is my thing. And then you're like,
I mean, if you
not
like
my
that,
thing.
I know that's one of your questions. Is you will
Slot
ask
in
me
there.
about ass play,
That's just, we'll get to that.
but yeah, okay. Is this answered? Let's
Let's
go to the
answer.
next one,
Yeah,
or
and for all the toys mentioned, link down. No, actually, there's no link down below. I'm fucking
there's
with you.
no
I'm
link
fucking with
down
you. I'm
below.
fucking
No,
with
no links on podcast. I'm lazy. Ask in the group chat.
you.
There are guys who know shit.
We should just pin the
There
link.
are not. There are guys in the
Um,
group chat who know all of this shit. So just ask in the group chat. If you're not in the group chat, go to my website, sign up for a mailing list, and in the invitation, in the welcome email, you will get an invitation link to join the chat. Yes,
I'll probably add a thing for God to like refer to things. I don't know. We'll think about it.
we'll think about it. Doesn't matter.
Next question. So in Argentina, you said aspe is quite a thing there.
In Latin America in
Latin
general.
America in
Yeah,
general. Interesting. But you're not really a
I'm not a big
big
fan
person
of
into it.
anyone exploring my backside, but I mean, if they kind of dive deep, I'm like, well, go do your thing. And I'm not gonna say I don't like it. I've explored it. Of course, it's let's be honest. Let's put it on a table. It's the topic no one talks about. It's the topic that, oh my God, you must be gay if you like that.
Only these two guys talk about it.
No, actually, like that's the secret. Like in our community, the guys I know, like we talk about all types of shit. We talk about that stuff. We talk about some like chemical help, etc., etc. Like those are topics that everyone wants to talk about, but they don't have anyone to talk about that. So, but because our community is so much sex oriented, then well, we just kind of have to talk about it. So yes, no one talks about these topics, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Just do your research, read up upon it. So, what do you want to know about it?
The question is just, did you feel self-conscious when you were in
Uh,
Latin America
I
and
was
girls
when I
were?
was younger, but the more I got into the BDSM community, the deeper I dove, and the more people I met, and I started talking to these guys that in the community, and they said, by the way, like, have you explored this with a chick? And I was like, fuck no, like, and they said like everyone says fuck no until they realize that that orgasm is like 10 times stronger, and I still haven't explored it as deep or as serious, but and I'm not interested in anyone pegging me or doing anything like that. That is not what I'm kind of about, but a little bit of play here or there, I'm fine with that. I'm kind of I'm self-conscious, but if there are chicks who are really into the shit, I've
Yeah,
never asked a chick to do anything like that, but
they're
if they
usually
are
the ones to bring
going
it up.
doing that, it's like, yeah, I mean, sure, dive in.
Cool. Fair. That answers that. Okay, now we're moving away from the sex toys and BDSM. Now we're going to just
By the way, I think our waiter understands English but doesn't speak English.
who. Well, it's great podcast. Listen to the Send Robots Daygame
Okay.
podcast.
Like,
Let me find my next question. Have you ever? Oh, hold on. Yes. So this just goes into normal day game stuff, which is how much pinging, how much photo pinging. So photo pinging is this thing where you will send, well, rather than text pings, you can send interesting videos or clips, and those can be a lot more engaging than a
just
text.
yeah. For example, today when I was filming a video about the best PUA books in my view, and I don't have a tripod with me, just because you see this like weird angle. This is
Yeah, we have a
set up on a
janky.
bar table with like a phone, ashtray, camera cap, like all types of things, just to get it in the angle so we can actually fit in the frame. So to set up the camera to film a video, I took a microwave in an Airbnb, put it on a table, and then put camera on a microwave. And then I took a picture of that and I sent it to a girl and I said, When you travel, no, when you need to make a video but you don't have a tripod, you have to become creative, and that's it. There's nothing else. And then she liked it. She responded very fast, and then um, uh, so how much is too much? I would say one a day is definitely fine. If she's responding well, maybe twice is fine sometimes, but that's kind of pushing the line. But again, you have to remember we only are texting to get her out. So if she's responding really, really well, then just date request. I mean, that's it. Like
Yes,
if you send one ping, she responds fast. You send like a photo ping, she responds fast. Date request. There's no need to like text back and forth. That's a kind of waste of time, and there are better things to do in life than texting. So yeah, and I in general text more than people suggest because people suggest kind of one, two pings a day. That might be true in some places in Europe, where, especially if you are living in a city and you have a lot of time for texting and you can go ping, 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 ping back and forth. Then yeah, that is totally fine to kind of send one or two a day and then wait and date request after 3 days. But I've honestly started being texting pretty fast, and then she responds super good. I'm gonna date request. That's it, and it seems to work. And what I've noticed is people text nowadays so much that the more you ping back and forth, the more likely she's to disappear because someone else takes her out, and
the time. You mean the more time you waste
the more time you spend texting, the
instead of
more the
actually
less
meeting her?
likely you're actually meeting her. So I've actually date request pretty fast. Of course, except some specific countries, exceptions like Ukraine, Argentina was also an exception. I don't date request on the same day I got the number. I date request on the next day, but yeah. So once or twice is fine. No need to do it more than that, especially if she doesn't send any photos back. And
Any photos back? Yeah, I asked this because there was a time when I think I all I ever did, I didn't ping only, I did only send photo pings, but I didn't ping more than once. This was a while ago, and I was like, oh, I think this is way too much pinging. And I did ask you this question when it came up then, and you're like, save it for the podcast. And 12 months later, here we are.
12 months later, here we are. Okay, next question. Mr.
Next
T is
question.
asking,
Okay, so have you ended up in a day game spiral? I do, well, day game spiral in that
what
where,
is a Daygame
yes,
spiral?
yes, I'm going to explain that. Give me a moment. So this is when you are out, you're approaching, you are getting the numbers. In your case, I guess in Kharkiv, you got pretty far. You got your dates, you got the pool, but then like you literally were left with blue balls, and this was like 5 times in a row, I think,
Seven
7
or
in a
eight,
row,
seven or
and
eight,
you were
man.
going crazy,
I
but
was
you
like,
fixed it.
what the fuck do I do here? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was the first time I saw him so frustrated. I was like, oh, okay.
I do get pissed when that happens. So the question is how I have has that
So
happened to
it
me? I mean,
seemed
you
like
know that.
you had almost gotten into a somewhat of a, I guess for less experienced people, if this happened to them, they'd probably like either give up or they'll probably
Yeah, so this happens a lot in different places. For example, when I was living in Budapest for a month, a few years back, the same thing happened. I arrived and I did kind of I didn't do the strong front stop, and boom, like everyone just I'm just getting blown out and blown out and blown out, and I had to fix the stop. I fixed the stop. I really had to fix the beginning of a set then, like the opener and the stacking. Once I fixed that, boom, I'm getting topics. They're staying in a set because as soon as you would gonna deliver the compliment here, they would just leave. Um, and I fixed that. I started to do longer sets. Then I was not getting any numbers. I was getting their Facebooks because everyone uses Facebook Messenger here for texting. And then I
that's what they
improved
told
my sets even more, and I started getting WhatsApps, and those were flaking.
me.
And then I started getting stronger numbers, etc., etc. So it's problematic if it's problematic when you are starting to travel for day game. Because
Yes.
let's say you learn day game in one city, in my case in Riga, and you got really, really good in that city, like I did in Riga. But then when I met Temporero for the second time in Riga, oh no, that was for the first time, and we talked about the game, and he asked for my stats, and I told him my stats, and he said, "Dude, like you're like those stats are like some of like you're the top guy in the world. You have to start coaching." And but at the same time, he said, "But you have to go outside of Riga, because if you can get those stats in different countries, then that means something. But if you can only do that in one country, that doesn't mean you're really really good.
Yeah.
It means you're really good in one city, and then you go to new places, and games like 90%, 95% the same in every city, but those 5% matter. So let's say you will go to Poland, you'll go to Prague, you'll go to, like, I don't know, many locations, and you'll still get results, but you won't get 1 out of 30. Uh, and the interesting part when you travel is learning what works in each city, learning those 5 to 10% that you have to do differently in each city to crack it. And I'm there are cities I definitely have not cracked. I don't think I have. Well, I haven't spent enough time in Budapest. I'm actually very interested in coming back here for a bit more time to really crack it, and I do want to do that because there is some interesting talent here.
I do have a bit of a follow-up question. For the time you were in Budapest and you had to kind of kind of go back to the basics and step by step build yourself back up, what was the time duration? Um,
I don't. So I spent a month in Budapest, but I would adapt much faster now because I see now that there was one very big mistake I was making back then that I'm not making this time I'm here. So I think right now I could probably be doing decently in a few weeks.
but how long did that take? A month last time?
No, no, no. And I didn't crack Budapest. I wouldn't say I got a few lays here, but
But
it
getting out of the
wasn't
spiral.
like what do you mean by spiral?
Well,
But
getting
like
out.
feeling
So I know, no,
shitty about
no,
it,
no, no,
or
no. So let's not. Let me not say. Let me use the word spiral. But you'd say that, yeah. At first, you're like, all right, I need to work on my stops. I need to work on my open and initial few minutes, and then sort out the from messenger contacts to WhatsApp contacts to engage.
yes.
What was the time that it took you? What was the over what time period did it take you to get to a point where, like, okay, now your numbers, at least you are getting not so flaky numbers?
I don't know, like a week, two.
Yeah,
I
uh,
mean, in Ukraine, it definitely took me a few
3 weeks at
weeks,
least. Okay.
like some like 3 weeks, because that was like the easiest thing was like getting dates was super easy. That's why everyone. So that's what the thing about Ukraine. Why I think Ukraine was a myth. Uh,
Was
a myth of like
difficult.
yeah, like, no, the myth that it's so great and so amazing, and why guys were going to Ukraine is like, oh my god, like I went on dates with these super hot chicks. Yeah, but did you get laid? No. So that's the thing with Ukraine. It's super easy to get dates, extremely easy, but converting them to anything more, that was where it became more interesting, especially if she's actually beautiful and interesting. And so Ukraine, yeah, was a few weeks, but that was a very specific case because I had to learn a lot of things in Ukraine, and I really loved my time there just because it really, if I'm in a place where the quality is so good that it's worth learning and that I can see progress, um, then yeah, I mean, it keeps me motivated. Like in some places, I just arrive, I'm like this is shit, and I'm not gonna spend my time. I'm not even gonna do the effort to like to actually learn it here. But usually it's a few weeks, yeah. If but the better you get, I would say, the more you'll be able to learn it. Um, yeah,
Thank you for that. So anybody that's in a spiral, I think that the lesson here is kind of go back to the basics and step by step work through each model or each bit of the model
and to be
until
salesy, just get a coaching call.
oh that too.
No,
Yeah.
no, because no, this is a good point for that because not everyone can afford infield coaching. That's obvious. That's a fairly expensive product, but the coaching calls, the thing is, if you are stuck and you don't know where you're stuck, one coaching call will show you exactly the one or two or three biggest mistakes you're making, and then instead of focusing on 20 things, you will know, okay, I have to focus on these very few things, and that's it. So there's a lot of value in that.
Okay,
Okay,
cool. So now we're going to
but you had some more
I
questions
have
in your list.
one more, but we have a few. I don't want to flip flop, so I'm going to go back and forth because there's still some on topic with what we're talking about. So one of these from the chat is how important do you think it is traveling for day game versus being a badass where you live and adjusting lifestyle? Oh, hold on.
I don't understand the question.
How important you? All right, I'll.
My main thoughts about
I think this is something you kind of picked up on, which is It's like thoughts on traveling for day
Oh,
game, but
so
I
it's
think that
like,
still goes back to what Tom told you before, right? Like if you're good in your city,
oh,
you
if you're
should
good in your
travel.
city, you're just good in your city. I mean, and you are you're gonna limit yourself to a certain level of results, because again, your sets will be very similar, and you will when you meet a different girl for whom your copy paste shit doesn't work, you will not be able to adjust on the fly. Whereas the more day game trips you do, the more you learn to adapt to very different environments and different situations and scenarios. So now, whoever you meet, you've seen so much and learned to adapt to it that you'll kind of be able to adapt on the fly, and that will day game trips will, if you are already decent in your city, then day game trips will improve your results in your city as well. Of course, just because for two reasons. One, you actually improve your ability to adapt, but the second is you have more interesting stories to tell.
That's true. There's one thing I can add to this that I learned from traveling, and to reinforce what you just said. Um, in America, sometimes you can do a lot of banter in interaction, whereas in Eastern Europe, the joking and bantering has to like literally be toned down almost to like as minimal as possible because it does not help, it actually hurts. And the girls tend to be more direct, which you have to appreciate. If you are a hardcore day gamer, you'll understand how good it is when you don't have a chance with a girl because
This
then
dude
you
is
just
so
move on
so
to her.
similar to Frank. Anyways,
Distractions. But you need to be. It's good to when girls are very quick to dismiss you because then you can quickly move on. And at least if they don't dismiss you and you're in a place where like you know that they will do that without hesitation, then I think mentally you should know that you have a chance in that interaction, right? Like because of that kind of directness and willingness to just blow you off if they don't really give a shit. So something I learned from traveling. We will move on to another question from the chat, which is, what would you do different in day game if you were not a nomad like the rest of the people who are not nomads?
let's start with the fact that for the first few years of me day gaming, I was not nomadic. I've been nomadic for a bit less than 3 years now. I've been coaching for something like a bit more than 4 years and been day gaming for like I don't know. I don't know. Like but like a bit more than I've been coaching. Like 6 months longer than I've been coaching, I've been day gaming. So for I'd say half of my day game days I have not been traveling. I was living in one city, I was day gaming in one city, and there's no difference. It's easier if you live in the city. I think it's easier if you live because everyone is like, like the guys who live in the city say, oh, like, these our girls like foreigners, so it's easier when they come here. Yes, one more. Thank you. You too? Yeah? Thank you. Um, so guys say, oh, when foreigners come, it's so much easier for them. And then the foreigners come and they say, oh, it's so much easier for the local guys.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's not
it's all
true. Well,
bullshit,
sometimes
guys.
it
Like,
is, but
in,
I think that just comes into the novelty thing where it's like if you're in a new environment, sometimes mentally whatever blockers you had before go away because you might be inspired by where you are. I know every time I'm in Europe, I always just feel
no, but it's more about like who girls like more, locals or foreigners. And
that's
locals will say
no,
foreigners, and
yeah,
foreigners will say
yeah.
locals. And
That's
I,
just
in
skewed
most
perspective.
cases where I've been, I would say locals have it better than foreigners in kind of like the first world countries, like EU and US. I would say if you're local,
Locals,
yeah,
really?
yeah, one hundred
I
percent.
don't know. I
Yeah,
would
no,
differ.
100%. In Latvia, you'll do better as you if you're a local. Like in London as well, I think do better than if you're a local because you can play the card of thank you. You can play the card of well, I'm here. I'm a fun guy, but I'm here. I live here. So you're kind of if you are ever thinking about doing a relationship, then like
Oh,
there
that's a
is
different
hope
story.
for a girl
Yeah.
that this might end in something fun. Um, Also, in some places, it is important to speak the local language. Actually, I think if you are in, let's say, Budapest and you are local, I think you'll be doing way better than any foreigner.
With the locals
With
though.
locals, you'll be doing. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. With tourists, it doesn't matter. But with locals, you'll be doing. I think way better if you are living here. or if you're a local, and if you're living here, we would consider you a local, even if you live there just for a few years. So you'll be doing better in over game places like Budapest. I'm not sure about Prague. No, I'm not sure about Poland. I think in Poland it doesn't really matter. Maybe in smaller places it's better if you're a foreigner. It's the best if you're a foreigner, maybe living there.
Kharkiv?
Kharkiv.
Yeah, it should be that longer, right?
Kharkiv, I don't know. Well, Kharkiv is a different case because you need to speak Russian to Daygame in Kharkiv. If you don't speak Russian, like, there's no point in going to Kharkiv because, like, the English level, as you saw when you were
Oh
there, is just
yeah, yeah,
incredibly low.
yeah.
So
That
just forget it.
gotta learn your Russian.
Yeah. So I would say nothing really changes. It's not harder for locals. If anything, it's easier because you have a lot. You don't have to rush your leads. You have a lot of time to spend on that. You can set up threesomes easily just because you have regulars there, and you are limited by the size of your city. So if there's just like Riga, 800,000 people, I there was enough people for me for a few years, but like then it was Riga was done for me. Even now, when I was back, I didn't approach a lot. Let's call it a say day game sabbatical or whatever, but I still reapproached some girls.
Yeah.
So
Also, note, fun fact: if you are Tindering in Riga, Robert has already fucked all your girls. So just a note.
everyone, no, that is not true, of
It's not
course.
true. Yeah, but it's just the scope at which he has approached people. He has probably approached a girl you match with. That's almost certainly going to be true.
No, no,
Almost, I
I've
think
only
so.
done like maybe 2,000 approaches in Riga.
Fair.
Fair.
Let's move on to the next question.
So yeah,
So I'm just gonna highlight this because I think we already covered it, but I'll just say it and say the person that asked it, go backwards. What's your favorite way to ease a girl into more extreme stuff and push her boundaries? I think we
covered.
covered
We
that at the
covered
beginning.
this.
So
Yeah,
just go
no,
back to the
yeah.
beginning of the
Next
video.
question.
Um, what would be your 3 tips to get laid as fast as possible when you visit a new city you've never been to? I think get escorts.
Get dating coaching. No, like if you like one tip, get dating coaching. No, like, but if you're talking seriously and for free, three tips to get laid as fast as possible.
I think she cover whether experienced day gamer versus like novice. In which case, novice, you're
Novice,
not gonna do.
forget
Forget
it.
it.
Forget it. Novice is okay, yeah, let's talk novices and then advanced or like intermediate or whatever. Novices, guys, listen, let's be very serious. Manage your fucking expectations. You're a beginning day gamer. You don't deserve shit. If you get one layout of 100 opens, you're doing really, really fucking good. You shouldn't travel with an idea that you're gonna get laid. You should travel with an idea that it's a fun thing to go to a new place, approach girls in a place you've never been to, and it's incredibly interesting. All these vlogs and stories you see of guys going places and doing shit, like some of those guys are pretty good day gamers, and that's where they're getting results. And when you see a coach showing that he took a student to a place and a student did so well and fucked half of the city or like got a few lays there, well, that's why in my vlogs I when I start a vlog I don't know how it's gonna end. I'm just gonna show whatever happened, whether the student did good or bad. I'm just gonna show it. I don't care. I'm gonna be very honest about this. But I can assure you that a lot of videos you see are not on my channel, are very catered experiences.
They're edited.
They're you see the best students, you see the students that did well. And
Or the ones they spend the most time. I've seen that where like
yeah,
some students are actually,
yeah,
because they're gonna be on video, they're the ones who are given the most attention.
yes,
And so it
yes,
makes it seem like everyone's doing good, but no, those are the only people that are getting the most attention because
yeah.
they're in the video.
They're in the they're being treated differently because they're on a
Yeah,
video
so they
and
get
they're
more support.
used to get more students for
I can vouch for that being true. I've seen it.
yeah. So I've had cases where I coach a student and I ask, hey, do you want to be on a vlog? And they're like, yeah. And then middle of the vlog they say, well, I changed my mind. And like, I don't really care too much about that. And but so manage your expectations if you are a beginning day gamer. That is, I think, one of the most important things you can do. Uh, enjoy the city, like explore it, but don't expect you're gonna get laid. And now let's talk about guys that are actually getting decent results in the city where they are living, and now they're going on a day game trip. Number one, I would say, I mean, do volume. I don't know. Like this is so stupid. This is such a stupid question.
To get laid fast, I think is an it would be luck, right?
No,
Like
I don't think
without
a
the
lot.
volume, without the
No, you
volume.
need the volume, of
Yeah, like
course.
how
So
fast are we talking?
it's
Like
gonna
getting
be
an hour?
volume. It's
No,
gonna be volume.
I think it shouldn't be
Look.
fast.
Oh, number one, look for tourists.
Oh yeah, well that would
No,
work.
no,
Yes,
that's
no, that
number
would
two.
work. That
That's
would work.
number two. Number one, pick the right cities. Big cities with a lot of tourists, big cities that are considered places where tourists go for fun. So why Prague is amazing is people go for Prague for fun. Why Budapest is good because tourists go to Prague to Budapest to party. So in those places, it's already gonna be way easier than in a fucking place like Barcelona. No, it's gonna be way slower, and it's not gonna be as good in Barcelona. Like forget it, or like London or whatever. Those aren't places where people are going for fun. They're going there just I don't know, see a city, like whatever, go to museums or. So number one, pick the right destination. Number two, look for tourists. Look for solo tourists. So anyone who is walking with a camera, a map,
Just
a
very
map on their
chill,
phone, or just like walking around and you can see them like looking at the buildings and stopping and pausing and
looking a bit
that's
confused.
that's who you're after. That those are the easiest. Like this is, I told there's nothing easier than a solo Russian traveler.
But there
So
was a thing I used to do when after I came traveling, I would in my own city, I would actually look for where the hostels were, and I would kind of like hang around the hostels when I knew. I'd ask it. I'd go in because usually hostels have like bar crawls and like activities. I'd go and figure out what the activities were and when and where, and then I would just opportunistically be in the area when I knew that
and I
they
would
would be
also
there.
say like just if you're gonna get laid, just like do your fucking sets, cause
You should really.
dude, like I told the student yesterday, like same delay is always the last set of the day.
There is a lot of truth to that.
uh,
A person I'll not mention who is another big game coach did say when I was gaming in New York, I was hanging out with him. I was like, listen, like you never know, it could be that very last one. And he actually managed to get a girl. I'd gone home, I'd stopped gaming. He managed to get a girl on the street at about 9 p.m. Was using my camera, took photos, and managed to bring her back to my place. Didn't fuck up, but managed to bring her back for a photo shoot in my shower. Yes, the photos are still on my camera. Eventually took them, but like he managed to get in the shower and like they did this nice nude photo shoot in my shower, and I was like, I guess he was right. Yeah, you never
yeah,
really know what could happen. It's always the last. Sometimes it's always the last set.
no, it's always the last set.
Well, it's
Like
always the
when it
last set,
happens, it's the last set.
but it doesn't always happen. But it could be always the last set. So
And in general, you're going for eye dates and same delays with tourists. That's like the easiest thing is eye dates and same delays with tourists. I mean, Serbia,
that's tough.
as tough as it was, my first day game lane in Serbia was a tourist. I was the last set of the day. I was going home already. It was like I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna do one more, and I see this really hot tourist, this beautiful girl, really really cool, Russian girl. Stayed in touch with her, and really cool chick. I mean, if she traveled more, I would probably spend more time with her.
And our last, I think my last lay in Serbia was our last approach to a day before we're supposed to leave, or 2 days we're supposed to leave.
Boom. Oh,
Yeah.
so, anyways, yeah, and I it's my last set, and boom, same day delay or Prague. I am. It's my last day in Prague, or like last. I have one more night in Prague, and I think I got one lay, but I wasn't really happy with the quality of it. It was like I want to get laid, so it just like last day, and I just go out with a goal. My third set was I was specifically looking for tourists or like crazy chicks, and it was a Chinese tourist. Have you seen of unicorn? Unicorn that's Asian with boobs.
Oof. An ass.
And a bit of, yeah. So it was a Chinese business lady who went to Vienna for a conference and then took a solo trip to Prague, and boom, same delay. And
Robot
they're
showed up.
There are a bunch of kind of examples like this of oh, my last day in Budapest, last time I was here. I went out for same day LA, and my set number five was a chick whose name I still don't know. And we agreed that it would be funny that we don't know each other's names. And anyways, okay. This was three tips answered. Let's go to the next question.
Okay, so we have two more left. One is back from me, which is, um, what would you do if a girl said she loved you, but you did not feel the same way, even though you had already had the talk a while ago
I will
about
just remind her what's the deal, what we're doing here, but and that's it. But I do pay a lot of attention. I think there is a lot of ethics in my day game. I consider myself a very ethical dude. And when I was dating the girl that you've seen on the escalation video on my green sofa, terrible, terrible production quality, but again, good example of escalating. Or the vlog about day game in Riga. Or no, bars in Riga. So that girl, I met her when I started day gaming a long time ago, and we really liked each other. We were seeing each other for a long time. But I knew she was getting very attached. So what I did was I made sure that when I'm on a date, when I'm doing something with another girl, I would post an Instagram story. I would just do it. I didn't care about doing it. I did it so that she would see it, and it would be a reminder for her about what's going on, what is actually happening here, and uh, so I would kind of pay attention to what's happening with the girl while you are seeing her, and made sure it doesn't come to her telling she loves you. You don't want to be the heartbreaker if you're not into that girl. Like, well, you don't want to be the heartbreaker in general, but you don't want it to go to a moment where she falls in love with you, and you don't feel like that, but she's hot and you waste a few years of her time, and like, don't be a dick. She's young, she's hot, she can find a cool dude, but then you waste a few years of her life, and now she's like older, and it's like she can still find a great dude, but she's older, it's gonna be harder. So, but if it already happens, I would remind her of what's happening, and probably I would try to taper off how often we're seeing each other. I would probably try to stop it just out of because just to be ethical with her, and then rip the band-aid, as Tom Ferrero used to say, and yeah, let her go, and then let her find whoever she wants to find. Okay, next question.
still related, will you ever think about settling down with a girl after living the dream life?
Uh, I have recently said a girl that I'm seeing that I love her, which is mutual, and
She actually said, I know.
no, she did not. I have recently, maybe this is a new big news to like a lot of guys, but no, but it still doesn't change my kind of what I do or what my lifestyle is like. I am still not looking for physical monogamy. I am totally fine with emotional monogamy. I don't need to be like in love with multiple people, but and I would actually prefer to have someone who's, and this has always been the case also with regulars. I would have like one regular that's really special to me, and then the rest would be kind of for fun. And that's kind of what I'm also interested in. I'm interested in having one girl that I'm kind of involved with emotionally, and then but still, while still having an opportunity to explore other pussies. Well, yeah, still having fun with other girls, and would I settle down? I don't think I would settle down for physical monogamy, for sexual monogamy. I'm not really interested in that, and to be honest, my girl wouldn't be interested in that as well, because I'm not that interested in sex with one person. I know myself. If I have sex with just one person, it just gets less and less interesting to me, and I want it
Boring.
less and less. Whereas if I'm seeing someone else, kind of it just sparks my sexual desire. And at the same time, if I'm with a girl who's fine with this, then it's not about me wanting to be with other girls. It's about her being the one girl I can be with while I'm still able to kind of fulfill my desires. That's actually a big bonus for her. That's like a big pro to her. So I would not. I don't think right now I would settle for sexual monogamy, but I'd never know what will happen in the future. Maybe I kind of get tired of all of this gamey thing, and then. But so far, I'm not tired of it. At least not to a. I'm not interested in one night stands as much anymore. Maybe if I'm in a city for like, but if I'm in a place for a few months, I never look at a chick as like, do I want to fuck her? I look at, okay, I'm here for a few months. Do I want to hang out with her? Because I've guys like I've done all the fucking. I don't care about it anymore. So if I don't see myself hanging out with her for more than just one or two times, I like even on dates I tell girls that I don't sleep with a girl if I don't see myself sleeping with her three times, and then I will sleep with them twice. And if the third time that never happens, like if I don't really like her after the second time, I'm not seeing her for the third time. If it happens for three times, we're probably gonna hang out outside of sex as well, and then or well, depends.
Trip to a different country, little bit of visits here and there.
Oh, I actually do that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
do that. I had one girl who you saw in a vlog when I was showing you things to do in Riga when you're tired from Daygame and dates. That is a girl I met in Ukraine. She came to Riga. She lives in Germany right now. She came to Riga to just visit me and hang out with me for a few days. Me and the girl, the blue-haired girl that you've seen in videos. Me and her are going on a trip in probably late August, summer together for like a week or so just to hang out and yeah, like I like all of that stuff and like I like doing like weekends away with girls that I'm with and all of that shit. But yeah, okay. Do we have any more questions?
No, that is it for now. So,
Wait, I had a
do you have another
question in
one?
a DM.
Let's see, who did we miss?
There. No, it was private question to me.
Oh, wait, this is.
Hey, Robert, I know you're not gonna like me asking this question, but this is the difference. But what is the difference between teasing and push pull? I thought they were similar, but since you're doing AMA, other guys might want to know as well. So, Mister Dude that I'm coaching right now in Budapest, uh, teasing is just another way of no. Well,
Give
teasing.
you an example, maybe, because
Wait. So push pull are two different parts. Like there's the pull part where you say, I don't know,
I like you, but I don't know if we'll ever get along because you're just too much fun.
"Ee,
That's a push pull.
that's a push pull, or you're so geeky. I kind of like it.
Yeah, that's a
Like
pull
it's
push. Sorry, that's a push.
that's I do
That's a push pull.
I
Yeah,
do pull push way
yeah.
more than I do push pull. I do pull push. Pull push is actually the typical thing. Like
I
very few
actually
people do
realize
push
I
pull.
do push instead of push pull. But
No
yes,
one does push pull. No one does like the typical thing would be push pull.
yeah, you push then you pull, but I do
Yeah,
push.
that's not
It's
because that
like I like you, but don't get a big head, right? It's pull and push. But anyway, that sorry, go on.
teasing is just, let's say she says she's a lawyer, and it's just taking whatever is obvious about lawyers and just like making it a bit more fun. Just kind of saying that, oh my God, yeah, you guys, it's so crazy because being a lawyer, because you have to study so much. Like unless you have master's degree, all you can do is like make coffees for other lawyers and fill like forms. It's so weird. So that would be like a that would be
Yeah,
teasing
that's
about
teasing.
her being a lawyer and
I think teasing in a way is it's a way where you make fun of a stereotype in a sense, right? It's kind of like you pick
yes,
on the an attribute that's true, but it's an extreme, and then you kind of bring it out in a joking way.
yeah.
Kind of like if I said, so let's say if I said I was
Look at
a
the ass.
software engineer, a girl might tease me and be like, "Oh, so all you're doing is like hang out in your mom's basement staring at a screen, right?" And in a joking way, where it's like it could be true, but it's not really, but it's playful, right? It's a playful accusation based off of a stereotype in a way. It could be based off other things, but I think stereotypes and accusations are a nice start to how you can find ways to tease.
Yes, and with push pull, I would first of all, for you, dear student, I told you yesterday that you shouldn't even worry about things like that. That is pretty intermediate advanced. You should fix your basic shit. Uh, But I would more look at push pull like two separate things. So pull is when you're asking questions, when you're being interested, when you're kind of doing all of that shit, and push is when you just in a bar, you get a message and you take your phone and you
Exactly.
unlock and you like look in the phone and you're off for like a minute. It's like, oh, sorry, yeah. That was like you ignored her, you pushed her away, you showed that you're not interested, and uh, anything that shows that you're interested is a pull. Anything that shows you are not interested is a push. And the point of the push is if the attraction is high enough, if she likes you enough, when you push her away, that's when she might chase you a little bit. That's when she might try to win you over a little bit. And it's very important in moments when you are home with the girl and then she's like, oh, I don't do this so fast. This is so fast. We just met and
Oh yes, it
and
is.
and
It is
like and
very fast.
you just gonna hop on a call and like talk to a friend for 5 minutes. I know a guy that went and started watching, went to his laptop and no, went to his computer, turned it on, and started watching ice hockey for 20 minutes, completely
Yeah,
ignoring the girl. She came over and then they fucked soon after.
you can have very strong. You can have rather drastic pushes, or you can have playful pushes. So I think the thing with the laptop was more of a
Very
more direct,
strong,
very
yeah,
strong
very
push.
strong.
Whereas the playful pushes, it's kind of done in a somewhat joking manner, where you could say that, oh my god, like you're such a nerd. We couldn't possibly get along, but with the right tone, whereby it's actually a push, but it's a playful push. And then alternatively, you can have the really drastic, stronger pushes where it's more serious. So hopefully that helps.
Okay,
There's one more actually
yeah, let's go.
from Mr. Majestic. How do you adapt the different phases of the model relative to the country? For example, the girls don't stop, then the open phase of the model becomes a front stop. Oh, hold on. If the girls don't stop, then the open phase of the model becomes a front stop. So some practical options for each phase of the model relative to the country. How do you adapt? Yeah, basically, how do you adapt the model based on where you are? Because I say, for example, I think in New York you have to have strong front stops, whereas in some other countries you could easily just do a tap on the shoulder and
So I
get
do
away
that
with it,
everywhere.
right? I don't know
I
where that
even
was.
get
That was
away in
mad.
New York, man.
I know a lot of places where I can just be like, yeah. Oh, in Serbia. Well, in Serbia, for me, just eye contact and stepping in front of them works. Whereas for other people, I guess I don't know if they don't have faith, it doesn't work in them. But I found that it's easier for me to stop people in Belgrade than it is in New York.
Oh, Belgrade is easier
Yeah,
than New York for
yeah.
stopping girls at least.
Or
Yeah.
London, some on Oxford Circuit, kind of way.
Uh, guys want kind of cut, clear cut answers for these questions, and Mr. Majestic is a guy who has had like 5 coaching calls with me. He can no, Mr. Majestic is a very interesting example, by the way, because he was a guy who wanted to do everything on his own, and it was his kind of ego thing. But and he learned a lot on his own. He became pretty decent, and then he did one coaching call, and he realized like, damn, like I got he got unstuck, and it was very visible in the chat. He talked about it how he got unstuck, and then we started doing them like once a month or once in 2 months, like kind of to just kind of get him unstuck all the time, and he has become a pretty decent day gamer in the place where he is right now, which we will not mention.
I don't even
For
know who it is,
uh,
but I
you
don't.
know where he is. You just don't know who Mr. Majestic is. I'll tell you. Anyways,
Oh yes, I do.
we're not talking about that.
No worries.
Anyways, um, and now he's traveling more and more for day game, and so when you are learning the basics of day game, there is always a clear cut answer what's the best thing to do. But there comes a moment where clear cut answer isn't what you need. Like you need to go to a city and see it for yourself. And when you are there, and this is for the guys who are doing good in the city where they live. So when you go to a new city, you have to look at the model from beginning to the end. So you do the stop. Is she stopping well? If yes, don't worry about the stop. You do your opener. Is she like blowing you off instantly? No. Okay, keep it like that. Stacking. Are you doing good stacking? Is she kind of saying thank you, no, yes, and leaving? Okay, you have to perfect your stacking. And then, okay, maybe she's not. You do a good stack and she's giving you a topic, but then you tease a little bit and she leaves, and you're kind of, okay, now I have to improve my teasing or storytelling. So you have to look at a set in a linear fashion.
Initially,
Yes, so you have to kind of look at the beginning and the next, and see where am I getting stuck? Am I getting stuck because I'm getting blown out all the time? Or am I getting stuck in when I'm closing because they're giving me Instagrams, which means that probably attraction and comfort are like fucked up somehow. So there is no clear cut answer for this. This is not a level of day game where you get clear cut answers. This is the day game travel is where you kind of, if you are decent in your fucking city, 20 or more lays, I would say. If not, then well, you don't need to worry about day game travel because you're not going there to get laid. You're going there to
Yeah,
explore the city.
it wouldn't be worthwhile to travel if you haven't
No, for
really.
fun.
Yeah,
It's
no,
worth
I
it
mean for if
for
you're just
fun.
traveling
Yeah.
for day game, assuming that changing city,
But
well, cities can give you perspective. That's one thing I can say. Like day game in a different place can give you more perspective because you're not gonna apply the same strategies. Some things will work that you are using, some things won't. And but one of the very important things is even in your own city. I'm in New York. I hadn't been out in a proper session for 7 months. I took a break.
you did
Yeah,
with SJ.
yeah. I took a break. Then like when SJ came over, I met him to a Saturday. He was I told him, listen, the moment we start, and this is one of the important things. Day game starts the moment if it's your day for session, the moment you step out, you start then. You don't wait till you get to a location. When SJ was with me, I told him we start now, and we started immediately. And the good things that he kept on, like he followed up. But one of the things I had to do was make sure I got my stops correctly. Front stop, committed. Eye contact had to be there. The smile had to be there. The posturing, making sure that I'm square on the shoulders had to be there. Otherwise, the girls just walk around you. And so it takes a little bit of systematic addressing of each step if you already know exactly what you need to do. And if you don't, do get coaching. And this is not shit. This is not just pushing Robert, but do get someone who is experienced to give you the tips and guide you. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting a lot of time trying to figure out where you're getting it wrong. That said, it's important to always go back to each particular step, look at it, and make sure that initially you get over the beginning bits. You don't skip ahead. You should not make the focus of your session to be getting laid. It should be making sure you go through the steps that need to be taken that you're failing at. And then where as long as you follow the process, you will eventually get to the goal. But if you only focus on the goal, then you'll make so many mistakes and never actually make progress. And there you go.
Mr. T said so. If you don't listen to him, a team will come
And shoot you.
and shoot you. Anyways,
I
guys, this was
think
a
that's it.
very expromptum AMA. If you want to be part of the next I'm drunk already.
AMA.
Then make sure you are on our group chat because we have like around 350 guys already. I think close to that. 324 guys from all over the world, from beginners to really good day gamers. If you want to join our group chat and be part of the next AMA, go to my website, saintrobert.blog, join the mailing list, and in the welcome email, you will get an invitation link. You just gotta click it, install the Telegram app, join the chat, introduce yourself there. If you're going to new places, if you want to meet wings there, and you have been chatting to guys in the chat, and you know someone, it's pretty easy to get wings there, wings this way, and
um, make sure you introduce yourself in the chat. The best way to get people to respond to you is they need to know who you are,
yes,
and
no one talks to unknowns.
don't
Like,
just start by asking questions. At least introduce yourself. Let
tell your
people know.
story,
Tell your
whatever it
story, and
is.
then maybe people will be willing to give you some free answers. Otherwise, you
Let's put
shouldn't
it
be
like
looking
that.
at
We
it.
have some really nice guys in the chat who give really nice advice, like the way I used to give advice all the time when I started. But then I created this chat so other good day gamers could share their advice, and we have really nice guys who are happy to help you. Just be nice, ask good questions, watch the videos, like do your homework, and if you ask good questions, you'll get incredible help from the guys in the chat. With all of this being said, next coaching spot available is end of July, Poland or Budapest, whatever the fuck you like. I don't care. 3 or 5 days, both options are available. Then September is Georgia. It's I think gonna be crazy if you know how to deal with Russian girls. Um, we're going there for a month, no more than 3 students. Those will be, I think, the last 3 coaching spots in Europe this summer. And then I'm heading to New York City and other places in US. So if you want to work with me in any of the cities, click the link in description, fill the form at the bottom of the page, and I'll get back to you with all the details, prices, options for cities, dates, and everything else. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, follow, do all of that fucking shit. It actually does help me. If you want to help me without getting my services, that's the way you can help actually. Um, See you in the next podcast. Ciao,
Peace.
guys.